Okay, go. Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are helpful to parents all around the world, and they are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not able to attend this meeting live can also watch. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Sue. Thank you for being here.
We are thrilled to have Sue here, and thank you for reading that, Irene. And she is truly wonderful and amazing. And I'll tell you just a little bit about her before she starts to speak. She's a lifelong intuitive and spiritual coach, and she's the author of Bridges to Heaven: True Stories of Loved Ones on the Other Side, I See Your Soulmate, I See Your Dream Job, Your Divine Lens, and Water Oak: The Happiness of Longing. As a master numerologist, career and grief intuitive coach, and soon to be ordained Unity minister, she's taught hundreds of workshops for those who seek alignment with their soul's purpose and for those who are grieving. In her workshops and client sessions, she's witnessed the profound healing of slipping into your higher self for guidance and to connect with other loved ones on the other side. Sue believes that we can all connect to our departed for healing conversations, and that our consciousness is much more expansive than we understand it in this limited physical world. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, CNN.com, Real Simple, Yoga Journal, Natural Health, and Complete Woman magazines. Her website is www.suefrederick.com. I will put that in the chat box. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming beautiful Sue Frederick. Welcome, Sue.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. It's an honor to be here. I love this group more than life itself. I know many of the moms here in this group. And of course, I love you, Elizabeth and Irene. So it's an absolute gift to be here. And I'm so thrilled. It's my third time of speaking to you all. And this time, I want to focus on what the year of 2022 is offering to us vibrationally. And as many of you know, I'm a master numerologist, and just a little bit of a backstory. The way I got into numerology was in 1979 when my husband died from cancer, and we were so young. I was 29, he was 33 or 34. And I was angry at the world. Why did he die so young? Why was he suffering? Why did he have to suffer? He's such a good soul. And also, why was I still here on earth? Because all I wanted to do, and I know you all know this feeling, was to go and join Paul in the divine realms. And a numerologist came into my life shortly after Paul died and did a numerology reading for me, a very sacred reading. And in that reading, she showed me my soul mission, why I was here, why Paul was here, why he chose to exit the way he did, and what our agreement was. And that information changed my life, and it made me become, from 1980 on, obsessed with numerology. And so over the decades, I've taught it, I've written about it, I've worked with thousands of clients, basing the work on feeling into the numerological soul mission that a person chooses and that their departed had when they were here, and feeling into that connection. And it's just so beautiful to work with numerology because it's a very sacred art. Pythagoras, who founded our entire number system way back in, I think, 600 BC, it's like a long time ago, he also said that all numbers have a vibration or an energy to them, and they're not just about quantity. But as you guys know, that part got deleted from math class, and we were only taught that numbers were about quantity. But the wonderful thing is that it's so easy to master the basics of numerology. And then what I add to that is that you put your hand on your path or your beloved's path when you've figured it out, and you go into a quick meditation or a quick shifting of consciousness. And in that, you really can begin to feel, I can just then be able to get this whole download about that soul and who they are and what they came here for, and where they are in their struggles and gifts and challenges. And most helpful to so many people is that you really get to understand your soul agreement with your departed, with your beloved. And that is a very affirming thing for grievers, as you all know, because it helps you really believe that, yes, this was a life plan choice. This wasn't a random tragedy. This was something that we set up before the lifetime began for our soul growth. And so in that beautiful knowingness that there are so many signs in this gorgeous universe to help us remember that we're divine beings here, not just physical beings, we can use numerology to also understand the vibration of the current calendar year. So we all know the last couple of years have kind of kicked us around and everybody is trying to feel into what is 2022 going to be about. And so I really want to talk about that today because it's a beautiful, powerful vibration coming in with 2022. And the trick is the more we can align with the universal number vibration of the calendar year, the more we're in the flow of life and in the flow of our own lessons and gifts. And I often compare it to, you're out in the ocean and you're on a surfboard and you're trying to make it to shore, and there's a huge wave coming up behind you. And if you kind of know how big that wave is, how fast it's coming, then you paddle a certain way and you ride the wave, and you can ride it all the way into shore. Or if you don't really pay attention to that, you can get pummeled on the bottom of the sea, but then you'll still make it to shore, but it won't be as fun or easy. And take it from me, somebody who spent a lot of years in my life being pummeled on the bottom of the ocean floor rather than riding the wave. It really helps to understand what the wave or the energy is of the calendar year. So on that note, as we look at 2022, the first thing you'll notice in numerology is that we add every digit together and reduce it down to a single digit. So obviously 2022 comes to the number 6. And 6 is a beautiful number of healing the heart, of healing others, of focusing on home, hearth, heart, relationship. And it brings a beautiful, you can say, many people say that the compassionate love that Jesus Christ brought to the planet had the vibration of the 6 and of the higher part of the 6 that you can have sometimes, the 33-6, but it was based in the number 6 of loving. He said in the New Testament, I give you a new commandment to love one another. So you can kind of think that's our intention for 2022. Our new commandment for this year is that we've got to get really seriously this time out of our thoughts and our beliefs and our ideas and into our hearts. And if we can align with that wave, we will be able to ride through what 2022 is trying to give us, is many things that I'm getting excited about sharing it, but your health and your heart and your loved ones are calling you to open your heart and be absolute present in compassion and love, and no more arguing about vaccination or not vaccination, or politics or not politics. Because if we can pass this test this year, individually and collectively, and really love and forgive compassionately, consciousness is ready collectively to shift up a whole notch, a much higher vibration. And individually, we can do it if we really focus on the love, and you'll have many opportunities. Here's the thing, because that's what 2022 is presenting, it means that you're going to have a lot of opportunities coming to you. So I had one just this week that came in my life where I had to decide, am I going to solve this by being in my head and having ideas about what's right and not right? Or am I just going to open my heart and try to go into the lesson of love and forgiveness and compassion to get through it? And I kind of really struggled with that for a minute, because it was a pretty big decision happening in my life. And I finally landed in the place of the energy of the 6 of, no, I'm going to love my way through this. And I got to tell you, once I made that choice, everything shifted for me, and it fixed the relationship that I was concerned about, and it brought all these new opportunities into my life. So the minute you make a choice for the love and the compassion this year, your life will reap the benefits. It's going to be an instantaneous thing. The other thing about 2022, which is very cool, is that within the number, there is a sacred 22 master soul number. So you can say it's buried in the year 2022. There's the 22. 22 is a powerful master soul vibration about shifting our consciousness. So it's not like we can just love on each other in a superficial way or a personality way. We have to really shift our consciousness so that I am bringing now a whole different understanding that the person I'm struggling with is a soul on a journey doing the best they can. And it's not just be nice, it's much deeper than that. We are being called to see the divine in ourselves and in others in a very deep and profound way. And I would even say that it has to do with COVID as well, because this virus, you could say, is the energy of purification. And I don't mean anything bad by that. What I mean by that is, if we get it, it can open our hearts. If we live through it, and many people do, and it opens our hearts. And if we have someone to care for who has it, again, it's an opening heart situation. And what we can't do is try to avoid the pain of purifying ourselves of negative thoughts and beliefs. In other words, we have to look within and go, man, I got to get rid of that idea, that prejudice. I got to throw out that negative pattern I have in my heart. Excuse me. And so if I have a pattern of judging people about a certain thing, this is the year that I'm going to be called to task to let go of that, throw that out the window. And when I do that, my heart then is even more open. I heal myself emotionally, spiritually, physically, even more profoundly, and I contribute to the collective consciousness here of love and forgiveness and compassion, and we shift up together. So the 22 requires that work. It's not like, okay, I'll just be polite. It's got to come from your soul. It's got to come from a very deep place in you. I see the beautiful soul in you, and I know you are a divine being here on purpose, doing your best with every challenge that comes your way. And so it is. That's your little mantra for whoever in your life needs that from you. Then let's talk about the other component of 2022, which is so cool, is that every number in it is a 2. Obviously, this is a very rare thing. And you may have read somewhere, people have written about it, that this has only happened like, I don't know, every 100 and something years. It's like a very rare configuration to have 3 of the same numbers. And guess what? It's a 2. And guess what? The message and the energy of the 2 is deep and sacred, authentic connection with others. So as I decode the whole 2022 lesson and gift, I wrote it down so I could get it right. The 6 says we are being called to a heart-centered transformation. The 22 says this requires us to shift our consciousness in how we relate to each other and to ourselves, loving ourselves as divine beings, perfect divine beings on a journey of learning here. And the 2 number says, and we do this shifting up and this heart-centered transformation through deep, authentic connection with others. So we have our intention, our universal year intention. I'll just say it one more time: heart-centered transformation that requires us to shift our consciousness up in how we view ourselves and others. And we do this through deep, authentic connection with others. So we got to learn to talk to each other in a different way. We got to learn to trust our heart, our spirit, our intuition, all the departed spirits here. I feel, before I came on tonight, I have Chief Foolscrow, this Native American healer who helped me when Paul was dying and helped Paul cross over. And he was a big spiritual influence in my life in 1979. He comes through as one of my guides. And before I started tonight, he planted, I have Paul, my departed husband, and this 4 directions in this direction in front of me. You can't see my hand. And then I've got Chrissy, my departed girlfriend, in that direction. And then behind me is my dad, my departed dad, and my departed beautiful friend Marv. And I've got the 4 corners with them with me tonight. So you can even think in your meditations that when you go into your quiet meditation at home, plant your 4 corners with your spirit guides or with your departed loved ones. Or you can even ask to call in your primary spirit guide to advise you and help you, and plant them in the corner when you're about to go have a difficult conversation or whatever it is you have to do, because those spirits are always trying to help us. And the kids now, they know what we're up against here on planet Earth with this heavy energy. They're trying to lift us up and help us remember it's all about the love. All those kids, and I work with grieving moms every day, their message is always, hey, let go of that thing you're upset about. It means nothing in the big picture. And they're always saying, no, this is all a call to love. So when someone's hurting you, they are calling you to love them. When your heart is hurting, you are actually being called to love yourself more. And that's a hard one for many of us. And I know from working with grievers and working with many of you that when we lose somebody, we can go into a dark place of guilt and self-negative talk, like, gosh, why didn't I do this differently? Why didn't I do that? Well, 2022 is your year to love yourself as a beautiful divine being who agreed to go through all of this in order to grow and evolve. And you've done nothing wrong. You have done everything beautifully and perfectly. So let me pause and see what else it feels like I need to cover here with numbers. So there's another component here, and then I'll ask for questions so I make sure you guys are getting this. Somebody just put in the thing that their son's angelversary was 2/22/22. That's gorgeous. Thank you for putting that in there. So these numbers, they have such an important vibration. They are assigned to connect us to our higher selves. And one of the things I also think is so helpful with numerology is that we each have a personal year number that we're in. So for example, the one thing I would say in numerology, if you just forget all the rest of it, if you are trying to convince yourself that numerology is real, I urge you to look at your current personal year. And the way you do that, very simple, if you want to get out a pen and paper, you take your day that you were born and the month that you were born, and you add it to the number of the current calendar year. So for example, for me, I was born September, that's a 9. I was born the 15th, that's a 6. And I add that to 2022, which is a 6. And that comes up to 12. And then you add those together to 3. So I have a 3 personal year starting this year. So when I know that this year for me personally is about creativity and connecting to others and being out in the world in a bigger, newer way, and even creating content, which I love to do. And I haven't really been able to do much of it since I've been in school, but I'm being ordained in June, so I can get back to writing more books. So when I add that to the energy of the 2022, wow, I feel enormous healing for not only my own deep pains that I've carried in my heart and tried to heal in my own ways. I feel the universe helping me lift those pains out of my psyche once and for all, break the pattern of it. And, you know, for me, part of it has always been in this lifetime about self-doubt, because I agreed to have a mom who was unable to love me. And I did that on purpose so I could learn to love myself and love God consciousness as my source. And, you know, that's good. I've learned all that, but I still battle that self-doubt. And I feel that this year of 2022, I am being helped in my desire to rise up above that negative self-talk, and I'm being allowed to share ideas and content that help others do the same. So if you figure out your personal year, that will give you a vibration of the year. And again, this is in the workbook as well that Elizabeth sent you how to do this. And it's also in all my books that you can go and see what the vibration of your personal year is, and then connect that to the universal year. And that way, if you go back to the metaphor of being the surfer on the surfboard, you know the wave that's coming and you know how to paddle through it and ease and grace your way to the shore. So somebody said in there, oh, Elizabeth sent the link to them. So I was wondering, should we take questions about the personal year or the universal year, Elizabeth, just to make sure we're clarifying everything?
I think that's a great idea. But what you were saying is that based on the year that we were born added to this year, maybe everyone could kind of figure that out to get an idea of what number they are. And if you could just go over those different numbers quickly so that people, obviously this is a year of creativity for you because you're a 3,
Yeah.
maybe people can, okay, so the formula you put in the chat box, okay, could you just tell them again the easy way of doing it without having to go to the workbook, just for the years, which is a little easier.
Okay. So for example, if you're trying to find out your personal year, you take your month, and that's a certain number, you know what that number is, and then you add that to the date of your birth. If it was the 15th, then you add 1 and 5, and that's the number 6. And then you add that to the current calendar year, not your birth year, because that gives you a different thing. You add it to the current calendar year. And as we know, the current calendar year is 6. So you're adding 6 to your day and month of birth, and then you get it down to a single digit. And the personal year, the reason I say that is such a thing about numerology is I've been teaching workshops where I'll have everybody out on the floor figuring out their personal years and their charts, and they're actually mapping out their 9-year personal year cycles all through their life. And I'll say, okay, so what happened at this 9 personal year, this ending of a cycle? And they'll go, wow, that's when my career exploded. I lost my job. My boyfriend and I broke up. And they'll go, wow, I thought all that was my fault. And I look at this here, and it happened when I was in a 9 personal year. And that helps them understand that there are things we sign up for our growth, and they're not our fault. They're not that we've done something wrong. So when we hit a 9 personal year, things may really be a little tough for a while as we let go of some of the old things we need to release. A bad job, for example, or a bad relationship, we got to let it go, because then the new cycle comes in and it's a new beginning, a whole new year of beginnings. And that personal year stuff just turns the hardest skeptic into a believer of numerology, because it just turns out to be so incredibly true across the board. So,
oh, that's wonderful. And I see that people are helping each other out while you're speaking. When they get to 14, people are saying, okay, that's a 5 because you add the 1 and the 4 together. If you come to an 11 or a 22 or a 33, could you just quickly let them know what they should do at that point?
So here's the thing. Those are master soul numbers, 11, 22, and 33. They matter when you're figuring out your soul mission for the lifetime, from a different calculation. But when you're looking at your personal year, just add it all down to a single digit. That's the simplest way to understand it tonight. And then if you want to read the workbook later, you can go and see how you can also add your personal year stuff 3 different ways and see if your year, like for example, 2022 is just a 6. But if it had a higher numbers in it coming to a 6, it could have come to a 33-6, which would have had, and honestly, I would have been frightened of a 33-6 universal year, because that's a very intense number. And I would have thought, okay, maybe this is the end of humanity here on Earth. I mean, in a good way. But fortunately, 2022 is just a healing 6 vibration filled with the 2s of personal connection. I want to do one more thing while people are doing their calculations. I was called to meditate on the energy of 2022. And I asked before we started my guides to give me the word that would translate the energy that we're trying to connect with for 2022. And so the word, I wrote it on this card, is trust. And I know that for many of us, especially when we're grieving, trust is the last feeling that we could ever have, because we feel betrayed by the universe because our hearts have been broken and we don't understand why and how and all of that. But in 2022, let's just breathe into it for a moment. You can close your eyes and just put your hands on your heart. And we are shifting up above the mind, above the monkey mind, above the thoughts, the worries, the anxiety of the earthly realms. We're just breathing into the heart now. And we are seeing that in order to move through 2022 and align with it fully, we are being asked to trust in the divine order of this universe, to trust in the innate soul goodness of ourselves and others. We are being asked to trust that this is a loving universe that always has our highest good in mind. Wow, the spirits are in my office tonight. We are being asked to feel this trust, feel this love, and bring this trust into our day-to-day lives, whether we're hearing our departed loved one talk to us and we can't really trust it. You're being asked to trust it this year, whether we're working with a medium or a healer and they're telling us stuff and we wonder if we can trust it. You're being asked to trust it. And if you can go with that and just really ride that energy, I'm trusting that this universe is working in my favor. I'm trusting that this universe is trying to heal me and heal others. And even if you get sick with COVID or something, trusting in the process of your body healing and people who love you helping you heal. There is a trust required in this year. And trust means we release our cynicism. We release our negative idea that this is such a hard world down here. We release that we're all struggling, or that we're all alone, or that we're against people with different beliefs. We release all of that negativity. And instead, we step into the trust of our divine order here on earth. And then we have a wonderful, healing, loving year in 2022. Okay, so what do we do for questions, Elizabeth?
Well, what I can do is to go ahead and take questions. We have a lot of people asking for specific information based on the information that they have added up. Maybe if people could ask more about the year itself of 2022, so that it could kind of apply to everyone. Let's see. I think that people now understand how to add things up, which is wonderful. And again, there's so much wonderful information inside of that handbook that Sue had given to us before the second meeting that she had with us, but that's available. I've posted it twice here so you can read about your number as well. And I was going to say that if you could just go through, now that people have added their numbers up,
Perfect.
letting people know about what a 1 would mean, what a 2.
Perfect. That feels like exactly right. So if when you've calculated your personal year, if you've come up with you being in a 1 personal year, it really means that this is your year of new beginnings. I had a client just this morning who had been through a pretty rough past 9-year cycle and now is starting a 1 year. And what that means is she is like the farmer out in the field planting seeds for her new cycle of growth. So she's trying to pay attention to what she plants, meaning what steps is she taking to move forward. Maybe she's going to take a class or start a new kind of group that she wants to be involved with. In a 1 year, you are setting the tone for everything that you want to prosper and grow in the next 9 years. And that means that you might try a lot of different new beginning stuff until it really sticks, but that's okay. It's better to put a lot of seeds out in that garden so that the ones that are meant to grow are going to grow. And I always tell people in your 1 personal year, you probably know that you've got to change your direction and career and everything, but you don't know how to do it. So you just start taking a few baby steps in a direction that feels good, and the universe will clearly and beautifully and benevolently show you how to tweak it to get in exactly the right direction. The challenge of the 1 year, because everything has a gift and a challenge, the challenge is that in a 1 personal year, you can feel kind of alone. You can feel like maybe you're all in it alone. You've just been through a rough 9-year cycle of letting go. And so now you're feeling like you kind of got this huge new direction to head in all by yourself. But hang in there, because when your 2 personal year comes along, you are joined by the souls who've agreed to join you in this new cycle, whether they're going to help you with career and work, or whether they're going to be a healer in your life, or a friend, a new friend. So for example, when I moved here, it was in a 9 year of leaving Colorado, a 1 year of starting life in Arizona. And then my 2 year came along and I met Elizabeth and all my people here. And I was so happy. And that's such a 2-year thing, that the people you love, the people you need come into your life to support you. And the downside of the two is the two also has an energy of kind of looking into details rather than looking up. So when you're in a 2-year, you've got to really pay attention to that shifting up that we talked about. So you can't get into a relationship argument where you're all about the details of what went wrong in that relationship. You've got to be really focused on that bigger understanding of the relationship that we have as souls on a journey. All right, 3 personal year.
Wait, let me just go back to number 1, if possible. Nadia said that she did her son's numerology for the year that he transitioned, which was last year. And he turned out to be a 1, which is a new beginning, which I think is really beautiful that she figured that out. So
And
anyway,
that,
I did.
yeah, I mean, that's what's so cool, because when we transition to spirit, it is a fresh start. It is a beautiful new beginning where we get to release all the earthly troubles that we've had and really emerge into the higher consciousness of the spirit world and of our soul agreements and soul guides helping us. And so then in the I think then the 3 personal year. So the 3 personal year is about creativity and connection and being out in the world, being kind of social, and also having new ideas you want to share. Like some people might go and start writing their book in a 3-year, or they might go and learn to dance in a 3-year because it's fun and they get to get out with people connecting, etc. But the 3 is not a year of isolation. It's not about that. It's not a year of hard work. It's really kind of a go to the party year. Now in COVID times, that might mean a Zoom party, but it's still a year of fun, of connection, of being social. And by the time you hit a 3-year, you're usually so glad to have that in your life, because you've been going through a 9-year transition and then a new beginning, and then trying to get going with your people. And then a 3 comes and you're just kind of having fun. And then the 4 comes, and the 4 is kind of the opposite. And what's cool is every number has a certain feeling, and the next number comes along and changes that completely. So in the 1, you might feel alone. In the 2, you meet your people. In the 3, you're out playing and you can be superficial. And in the 4, oh, we got some big work to do here. And that could mean moving your house. For example, I always say moving your house is a great example of the hard work of a 4-year, because you're picking up boxes, you're moving stuff. Or another example of the 4 energy is you might start a new job, and at first it feels really hard because you have a lot of tasks to do and you're not quite sure how to do it. But you just buckle down and get it done, because whatever hard work you're trying to do in a 4-year, it's going to build the whole foundation for you for the rest of the cycle. So if you need to write a book in your 4-year, do it, even if it's hard, because then the rest of your cycle really builds on that work that you've done. The other thing people do in a 4-year is get their bodies strong again. So you start working out. The word work, anything that has to do with the word work goes with the number 4. You can work out, get strong, get healthy. All that vibration is there to help you do it. So then we hit the vibration. Oh, she's writing. That's so cool. People are writing these cool things in the chat. And then we hit the vibration of the 5. Now, I love a 5 personal year, and that's just because I love change and adventure and expansion and not feeling particularly rooted in the ordinary routine. I really like the change of a 5. And yet I know some people, when they go through a 5-year, they like to have a sense of control and order. And so suddenly maybe they're moving, or suddenly they're traveling to another country, and it's all about adventure and change and freedom. And the buzzword for your 5 personal year is courage to say yes to the change that's trying to come in your life. And then if you try to not change, then your 5-year can be tough because the energy is about expansion and not about fear. And then your 6-year personal year comes along. And the 6th year is when you fall in love or you heal a relationship or you divorce a relationship. It's just like the energy we talked about earlier of the 2022. It's all about love, family, home, heart, relationships, bringing compassion to all of that and healing. I love a 6th year personally because I love the vibration of all of that. And what I've noticed is when you're in a 6th year, you'll have the most heartfelt experiences that you do nothing to create. They just come your way. And they're these beautiful, heartfelt, transformative experiences. And then we go from that big heart healing energy into the 7 personal year. And the 7 personal year, just think of it as the year to go on your spiritual retreat. And again, you're retreating now. You're not out in the world. You're going to turn within, to meditate, to really study what you believe in spiritually, to enhance your intuition. It's a very quiet, reflective, internal energy. I love the 7. The 7 says, I will turn within and go to God and higher consciousness for my answers. And I might be a hermit this year, but it's okay because I'm in a really wonderful place of feeling guided and intuitive. And it's a great year for writing and studying. That's the 7 vibration. Then the opposite happens, the 8 personal year. And we go to the 8, and the 8 says, you got to go out in the world and focus on money and career and finances and success, all these things that the outer corporate kind of world loves and embraces, the 8 energy of power. And you will find that you'll have some big opportunities for money and career that come in your life in an 8 personal year. And you might also find that you have a relationship that comes in your life in an 8 personal year, and you've got to understand, am I giving my power away to this relationship, or am I maybe abusing my power? And that will be part of the lesson of the 8 personal year. And then again, a whole different shift, the 9 personal year, the final year of the cycle. Now, many of you, I'm sure, are in a 9 personal year, but the 9 says, I surrender to what I need to let go of. And I may not even know what that is, but the year, my 9 personal year, will show me what I need to let go of. And I'll have to open my palms and say yes to whatever I need to let go of, so that when my new cycle begins, I am starting fresh and clear. So you might quit that job finally that's been killing you. You might end a friendship that it hasn't been serving you. But the 9, the only lesson and the only way to get through it is to say, I surrender. And I even have an image in my head of when you're in a tough 9 year, you reach a point where you get down on your knees and you just go, I don't have the answer. I surrender what needs to happen here for highest good. And when you take that stance, everything changes and things unfold the way they're supposed to, and you're no longer struggling with it. So then once again, the 1 begins a whole new cycle, and it kicks you up to a higher level of awareness, of life, of learning, of love. The beauty of these cycles is that you just keep getting better and better and growing and evolving with every 9-year cycle. It's the map of our human evolutionary journey. It is so cool.
Well, I just want to say that I just lived through a 9-year. As Sue is aware of, it was difficult. It was one of the hardest years I think I've lived through, but I learned so much, and I'm still smiling through that year. Really crazy things happened that I was never expecting to happen, but I think that when you're open to having these things happen and to moving through them, all is well. All will go as planned. And I think that now that I'm in a 1 year, I just calculated.
Yeah. And you know, Yeah, and the 9 year is actually serving our highest good, even when it's hard. Like when we go back and look at our past 9 years, we can go, man, that year was a killer. Man, that year ripped me wide open. But look how I emerged from that. I emerged with so much more clarity, so much more wisdom and strength. And the thing I say about the 9 year is you just have to say, I surrender because I no longer understand what's being asked. So please, guides, please, spirit, show me the lesson in this moment. And I would just say to all of you, whenever you're struggling, even in your grief, to ask your guides, to ask your departed loved ones to say, show me the lesson in this moment so that I don't have to struggle and fight. I can just gracefully embrace the lesson and then move on.
Well, I am so glad that you were able to explain that to everyone so that they might have a little clarity on about what's going on in their lives right now. Teresa is asking a very good question. How does the personal year and the life path number, how do they work together? Could you maybe explain that?
Yeah, so maybe she really means how does the personal year interact with the universal calendar year? Maybe that's part of what she means. And I'll address that. And then I'll also address how the soul mission path number and the personal year interact. But so, for example, all of you know your personal year now, and then you look at the universal calendar year of the 6. So there's a little message in there for you, and you can take it to heart and see how it unfolds. So for example, for me, I'm in a 3 personal year, and yet it's a 9, it's a 6 universal year. And of course I add those together and I go, oh, there's a 9 there. What does that mean? And as I meditated on that today, what I was getting from myself was that there may be a loss in my life this year of someone I care about, and yet moving through it with love and heart and compassion, I will be guided as I need to be guided. And so I embrace that lesson. I am not going to worry about it. I'm not going to fight it or resist it. I will say, if there's something I need to let go of, then it will appear and I will be able to surrender it for highest good. And so it is.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my goodness. Well, it's really good to be able to anticipate these things happening and to be able to allow ourselves to be open to everything that's going to happen, because this is our school. So we're learning so much each day. And I know that I learned a lot in my 9-year last year, and I'm just now realizing that I'm now in a 1 year.
Right. And every 9 year that comes along is not going to completely rock your world. Like I've noticed that I'll have a really rough one, like in when my husband was diagnosed with cancer and we sold our Colorado home and moved to Arizona, where literally everything changed and everything needed to be surrendered. But before that, my 9 year had been wonderful in a way. It was about a culmination of all the work I'd been doing. And so I was getting more speaking gigs, doing more books, all of this culmination of the ending of the cycle. And I thought, wow, I've got this 9-year thing figured out. I'm not having hard 9 years anymore. And then my next one came along and it required me to let go of everything. But look, I'm here to tell you, it's okay when we have to do that, because I'm happier than I've ever been. I love my new home here in Arizona. And now I'm friends with Elizabeth and Lynn and Carol. So the 9-year cleans you out and brings you the new. And that's a blessing.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just want to quickly read to you. It's so nice because Mary had a beautiful reading with you. She said, I had a reading with Sue last week that was absolutely wonderful. She brought through a beautiful message from my daughter. Through our numbers, Sue explained how the relationship between my daughter, her husband, and myself all fit together. Looking at my daughter's passing through Sue's lens has been very helpful to my grieving, which I think is a wonderful thing. I also have a lot of people who are wondering, actually, they're still working on their son's numbers as well as their own numbers. And it is kind of fascinating to be able to do the numerology for our kids, for our children as well, and to figure out what year they passed, a little bit more about their own.
So I'm being called right now to talk about your figuring out the soul path for your departed child, because I know a lot of you already know how to do that, but I just want to cover it right now because Spirit is asking me to talk about that. So when you want to know what your departed child was trying to learn, what was their soul mission in this lifetime, you add their day of birth, their month of birth, and their year of birth, and you add them all up to a single digit. And then again, I ask you to meditate or just spend a minute where you shift into that, put your hand, I always write it down and put my hand on it. There's something very powerful about that. And then you can even say what I say when I'm about to work with a client is I'll say, please, divine spirit guides and departed loved ones, please help me understand what this soul was here to accomplish and give me the words to enlighten their life journey. And so I look at that and I feel into it, and suddenly I'll go, oh, that person was on the 5 path. So they were here to break all the rules and be adventurous and to have no boundaries and to learn lessons through their physicality and their bodies, and they had charisma. And so you just get this whole download of what they were about by putting your hand on their information. And then you can even then use it as your portal to talk to them. So if you ever have trouble connecting to your departed, you write out their path, put your hand on it, and then close your eyes and shift into that meditative state and say, and I'm just going to do this right now for my husband, Paul, because I feel him around me a lot tonight. I'm just saying, Paul, your beautiful Scorpio 5 energy in this world, in this life, rocked my world with all your charisma and your truth and your courage. Please fill me with guidance about if you learned your life plan and what I can do to understand more about your journey here. And then just listen. I just got this one from Paul I want to share because it'll just show you what you can get. Paul told me that he's never been prouder of me because I'm going to complete and become a unity minister. And he had started out on a journey to do that when he was younger, in his 20s, not unity, but just traditional Christianity. And then he was turned off by fundamental Christianity. But he is really giving me a pure heart message that I'm doing the right thing by becoming a unity minister. So ask your departed to tell you how they're feeling and just feel into their path and their birth date.
This is so wonderful. I just want to tell you that a lot of people are adding up the numbers. In this case, it does matter if it comes up as an 11 or a 22 or a 33. Those are master numbers at that point. And so maybe you could just kind of give a little overview.
Yes. So if you're adding up your beautiful child's date of birth and you're adding it and it's coming up to, before you single digit it down, it comes up to 11. So for example, let's just say they're on the 2 path, but if before you get to the 2, there's an 11, that means they were on the sacred 11 path of this 11-2. And that would mean incredible sensitivity. And often what I've learned is working with these departed children is that for the most part, they were extraordinarily sensitive and intuitive and highly evolved. And even if they crossed from something that the world might call negative, like taking their own life, or the world might call negative, like overdosing on drugs, delete those ideas from your head that that's negative. It was a sensitive, intuitive soul struggling to find their way to be here in this dense physical world. And however they exited, that was a soul's choice, because their vibration was so high and so pure that they just didn't need to stay in this earthly realm for too long. And they had an agreement with you to help you grow and evolve, because that's our only point for being down here. And so even if they crossed over in a way that broke your heart, it was an act of love. And when you really, you know that when you've really felt into their energy, it was all about loving you and loving your journey together and loving your evolution as a soul. And I often think back with Paul, he was so much more evolved than me. And everything he taught me with his death has turned me into a person that I am at peace with now, that I feel like I'm accomplishing what I came to do. I wouldn't be that person without Paul's death when I was 29. And I know that you've all been devastated by loss, but there will be a moment where you realize that it's changed you and opened your heart and taught you to trust in the divine goodness of the universe and in your departed loved ones' grace and love for you.
It's beautiful. So the master numbers, the 11, the 22, and the 33 are all highly evolved. We have a lot of people saying that their children actually are coming up to 33s and 22s, which is wonderful. But this is so helpful in understanding. I think that numerology in general is helpful to all of us to understand that there's a science behind all of this. It's not just something it's something that's available to all of us. This is something that you started doing when Paul transitioned, and you became very, very good at it. You're also a medium, so you were able to use these abilities that you perceived from doing numerology.
Well, the thing is, Elizabeth, anybody can do this. And I know that we do feel that some people are more gifted intuitively than others, but it really doesn't matter when you use the technique of numerology as your gateway. I used to train a lot of intuitive coaches to do this. And I would say the numbers are your gateway to understanding the soul's journey. But then you use your intuition, your shifting of consciousness, to lift above the numbers and download the guidance. So you've got to combine the numbers that give you the gateway with the opening of your consciousness to receive the information that floods through. And I've always said to people, you don't study numerology to get obsessed with the numbers, because that can take you down a rabbit hole. Trust me, there are ways to calculate the energy of every day in your life. I don't even teach people that anymore, because they'll go insane with it. They'll go, oh, today's an 8 personal day. Like, I'm worried about money. I'm like, no, that's not the point of the numbers. The numbers are simply the gateway to help us remember that we came here on purpose, that we have life plans, that none of this is random, that this is all part of the divine order of our life plans and our soul agreements with our beloveds.
Well, I am so grateful that you're here this evening, and I want everyone to know that Sue is going to be one of our presenters at the conference as well, and we are just so excited about that. We're very fortunate to have her right here in the Valley, and we have just 2 more minutes. Would you like to give us any other parting words of wisdom?
Yes.
2022.
Yes, I just want to say, please, in your meditation tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to really feel the beautiful healing energy that's trying to come to all of us in 2022. And I just want you to affirm, set your intention that this is the year, more than any other year, that you're going to trust in your divine nature. You're going to trust in your intuitive connection, and you're going to trust in your intuitive connection to your departed. And most importantly, you're going to trust in the innate goodness of this universe and of yourself. Promise me you're going to trust in your own divine good nature in this world and let go of any negative self-talk, because that impedes your connection to the God consciousness that's all around us and to your beautiful departed loved ones.
Oh, that was beautiful. And we have people thanking you. So many people are saying thank you. Linda's saying, yay, Sue, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your beautiful spirit. You are just such a joy to listen to. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. And I hope you'll come back and see us again before the conference, but we'll definitely have you at the conference in August. And just in case anyone has not been able to sign up for the conference, and it's already sold out, I know, we will be live streaming the conference. So it'll be available to everyone everywhere, just in case you aren't able to be a part of the in-person sessions that we're doing. But anyway, we always like to unmute everyone and let them say thank you. And
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sue.
Thank you.
Thank
Sue.
you so much.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
you.
Good night.
take care, everyone. And we'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.